In the summer of 1883, the Indonesian volcano Krakatoa is becoming increasingly restless. It'll soon blow itself out of the water in a horrific spectacle that will guarantee its iconic status. Petford travels to where the legendary Krakatoa once stood. Krakatoa is one of the most volcanically active places on the planet. Here, one vast tectonic plate is being pushed below another, allowing super-hot lava to surge to the surface. Since the 1950s, the volcano has grown in height by an average of 4 meters a year.
Krakatoa is a classic cone-shaped volcano with one peak. But in 1883, the Krakatoa volcano comprised 3 separate peaks. And what people thought was that meant it was 3 small volcanoes. Well, that was a big mistake, because underlying those volcanoes was one single magma chamber. And when it blew, the amount of energy that was released in the eruption was enough to blow the entire island apart.
At the time, there were hundreds of Europeans living in the area, trading the spices that flourished on the fertile volcanic soils.
But there was one Dutch expat in particular, a man called Roger Verbeek, a geologist. Verbeek spent the summer before the eruption of 1883 surveying the islands.
Verbeek's report would play a crucial role in establishing Krakatoa's lasting legacy. Sunday, August the 26th, 1883. The morning calm is shattered by one massive explosion after another. Clues to what the 1883 eruption would have been like can be seen on Krakatoa, which is littered with huge lava bombs.
Now, this is a big piece. It's about the size of a car. And around me here, there are 2 or 3 similar-sized bombs. But in 1883, when Krakatoa was in full eruption, the sky would have been full of hundreds of these sorts of bombs, flying not just hundreds of yards, but perhaps tens of miles. Literally a rain of fire falling from above.
By 2 p.m., a black cloud 3 times the height of Mount Everest surges up from the volcano.
In the immediate aftermath of the 1883 eruption, we know from eyewitness reports that the skies darkened, day turned into night. And that was because so much ash and dust was thrown up into the atmosphere. But the effects were felt farther away than just Indonesia. People talk of strange sunsets with vivid colours in London, in Paris, in New York. And all of those things were due to the volcanic eruption in 1883.
27th of August, 5 a.m. 4 monstrous eruptions rip through the volcano. The force of the blast is 13,000 times that of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The sound generated is the loudest in recorded history. The explosive eruptions throw out billions of tons of pulverized rock, scalding hot ash, and gas that accelerate down and away from the volcano. It's been calculated these pyroclastic flows have enough power to climb over 830 meters, twice as tall as the Empire State Building.
Now, you might expect a pyroclastic flow when it hits the sea to stop because of the water, but that's not the case. Sometimes a pyroclastic flow, if it's strong enough and hot enough, it can hit the sea and keep on traveling. Steam forms around the front of the flow and protects it from the water. And we know this was the case in the 1883 eruption, because on that morning, villagers in a town called Ketimbang gathered to watch the spectacle.
Within minutes, the super-fast, super-hot debris crosses the 40 kilometers of water towards the residents of Ketimbang.
Probably the last thing that they ever saw was a pyroclastic flow emerging from the waves. And you don't want to get caught in one of these flows because you're simultaneously burnt, suffocated, and pummeled to death by the rock.
Around 1,000 of Ketimbang's residents die instantly. And the disaster isn't finished yet. During Krakatoa's final death throes, the volcano collapses into the ocean. The splash triggers a tsunami of epic proportions, traveling at 320 kilometers per hour. In its path is the small Javanese settlement of Anya. On the west coast of Java, a Dutch lighthouse, very similar to the one that stands here today, towers above the surrounding buildings. It's constructed to cope with the worst that the weather can throw at it. Even though the tsunami is heading their way, the keeper and his family choose to stay to ensure the lighthouse remains operational.
So in a building like this, made from reinforced steel, they must have felt safe, even from the most powerful of waves.
But adding to the power of the wave are huge chunks of rock torn from the seabed.
When the wave struck, it was 40 meters high. That's about 130 feet, nearly as high as I am here now. The wave ripped up from the sea floor great big lumps of coral and slammed them against the side of the lighthouse. And despite being reinforced with an iron girder, the lighthouse collapsed.
These bricks are all that remain of the ill-fated lighthouse. Miraculously, the lighthouse keeper survived, but his wife and child perished in the water, along with tens of thousands of others. It's the most destructive tsunami created by a volcano in history. As the sun sets on the 27th of August, 1883, Krakatoa is no more. The volcano has blown itself out of existence.
As well as being a spectacular volcanic eruption, Krakatoa is important for other reasons. Just before the eruption, undersea telegraph cables had been laid between Jakarta and the rest of the world. So as the eruption unfolded, people could follow it in real time, the same way that we would do today using the internet. So in that sense, Krakatoa became the world's first globally reported disaster story.
The Dutch geologist Roger Verbeek also played a critical role in raising Krakatoa to its iconic status.